In this module, we are going to study the very important concept of the astrophysics, that is Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Actually, this topic is from the chapter 6, part B of physics of class 11. So for the study material, you can visit the campus of Ignited Minds classes Kishtwar or just contact the executives. The number is given in the description. It was the Johannes Kepler who carried out the analysis of the whole astronomical data on the basis of Copernicus theory, and he formulated three laws of the planetary motion. The first law is known as the law of orbit, second law is known as the law of areas, and the third law is known as law of periods. Now we will discuss these laws one by one. So the first law is law of orbit. Its statement is that every planet revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit, and sun is situated at one of the foci of the eclipse. Now we will conduct an activity for the better understanding of the first law, that is law of orbit. For this we have to fix a drawing sheet to a pin board. Now we have to select 2 points, that is F1 and F2 on the board. Okay, this is F1 and this is F2 on the pin board. And fix 2 pins at the point. At F1 and F2 we have fixed 2 pins. Now we will take a string and that to a finite length. Okay, this is a string of the finite length, and pass it through a small ring. Fix 2 points located at F1 and F2. Pass a pin pencil through the small ring. Okay, this is the pin pencil and we have to pass it through the small ring. Now stretch the string. In order to remove the deformation, you have to stretch the string taut at the tip of the pencil and draw a curve on the sheet by moving the pencil as shown. Okay, this is the required curve. Take care that the string is tight while you draw the curve. The closed curve we observe is the eclipse, while the points F1 and F2 are called the foci. Foci is the plural of the focus. The midpoint of AB is denoted by O. Okay, this is the midpoint, it is denoted by O. You can see this midpoint denoted by O is the center of the eclipse. For any point P on the eclipse, the sum of the lengths, that is Pf1 and Pf2, remains constant. So we can conclude Kepler's first law that sun is at one of the foci of the eclipse and the planets rotate around it in an elliptical orbit, and the sum of the lengths, that is Pf1 and Pf2, is always constant. This is the statement of Kepler's first law of motion, that is known as the law of orbit. Okay. This law states that the line joining a planet to the sun sweep equal area in equal interval of time. That means aerial velocity of the planet around the sun is constant. Okay. So for the better understanding, consider the planets revolving around the sun. Okay. Let P1 and P2 represent its position. P1 and P2 represent its position at the start and end of the 30 days duration. The time taken is 30 days duration. Let A1 represents the area swept during this period. Similarly, let P3 and P4 represents 2 positions of the earth during its revolution for a 30 days duration, that is represented by A2. Now according to the Kepler's second law of planetary motion, the area A1 is equivalent to area A2. The concept of the Kepler's second law can be understood by the fact that angular momentum of the planet revolving in its orbit remains constant. Okay, the angular momentum, that remains constant. This is because it is under the influence of a central force, that is the force of attraction pulls the earth towards the sun, and the magnitude depends on the distance between them. So for the body under the action of a central force, the angular momentum L, which is the product of mvr, remains constant. Okay, that means mvr remains constant. Here r is the radius vector. Okay, r is radius vector, v is the velocity vector, and m is the mass of the body. Okay, r is radius vector, v is velocity vector, and m is the mass of the body in mvr. Okay, if p is the linear momentum of the body, if P is linear momentum of the body, then L is equivalent to the product of R and P. That means L is equivalent to R into P. If delta T is the time in which the radius vector sweeps in area delta A, then delta A is equivalent to 1 upon 2 R into delta T. Okay, delta A is equivalent to half of the product of R into V delta T. As we know, the area of the triangle is equivalent to half the product of base and height or altitude. Okay. Thus delta A is to delta T is equivalent to 1 upon 2 R into V. So on simplification, delta A upon delta T is equivalent to 1 upon 2 R into P upon M. Because V is equivalent to P upon M, that means it is equivalent to 1 upon 2 R into P upon M. So delta A upon delta T is equivalent to 1 upon 2 L upon M. As L is constant, delta A upon delta T is also constant. In this way, Kepler's second law is proved. Kepler's third law is also known as the law of periods. Okay, it states that the square of the time period of a revolution of a planet around the sun is directly proportional to the cube of semi-major axis of the elliptical orbit. Okay, it's the cube of semi-major axis of the elliptical orbit. So mathematically, we can conclude Kepler's third law is T square is proportional to R cube, where T is the time taken by the planet for one revolution and R is the length of the semi-major axis of its elliptical orbit. So the third law is T square is proportional to R cube. So in this module, we go through the Kepler's first law, Kepler's second law and Kepler's third law.